So you've just created a document in pretty much any app. Pages, Numbers, Keynote, Photoshop, Word, whatever it is. You're going to go and save the document. You're going to choose File, Save, or Command S. And when you do, you're going to get the Save dialog. Save dialog allows you to name the file and decide where the file goes. Now the Save dialog has two modes. You may not see all of this. You may see something that looks like this. This is the compact mode and it only gives you the option really to save and then choose from a limited number of locations where to save it. Like for instance your Documents folder or some recent places, things like that. But if you want to see the full Save dialog, click here. This little button allows you to go between the two modes and now you see a mini Finder window. And this Finder window allows you to go and navigate to any folder that you can get to through a normal Finder window so you can choose where to save the file. Not only can you expand to this mode but you can also change the size here. You can grab this like a normal window. I'm going to grab the bottom corner here and I can shrink and grow this as well. So if it's not large enough for you or maybe it's covering up something that you want to see when choosing a file name, you can play around with that by grabbing one of the corners there at the bottom and moving it around. Now also in this window, since it's like a Finder window, you get to use a lot of Finder-like things. Like for instance you have all the stuff in the sidebar including all your favorites. So if you have an important folder and you've added it to your favorites so you can find it easily in the Finder, you can also find it easily and be able to click on it here to jump right to it and save your file there. So it makes your favorites that much more useful. And you can access everything else in the sidebar as well including your iCloud locations, network locations, things like that. You can do other things as well. You can go between Finder views. Click here and I can go to Icon View for instance or List View. And you can even sort the files in List View. And you can go to the Column View. You can even group things here. So I can group by name or kind or whatever. Hide or show extensions. Everything. So you get a lot of the functionality you get in the Finder. You also have the ability to create a new folder. There's a new folder button here and a new folder button here. There's two of them. So you can create a new folder right here while saving the file instead of having to go to the Finder in the middle of doing this to create a new folder to put it in. So it's a nice thing not to have to leave this interface to go to another one just to create a new folder. You also get to choose from recent places here. You get a shorter list than you do if you go here, which is this long list. But you should always look at your recent places. Chances are if you're working on a project there's a folder you're using and when you create a new file you're going to want to save it to that folder. So it's very useful to go there. I use that all the time. And you can search. And you can search for folder names and you can also search for file names. So if you don't know the location but you know the names of other files in the location, you could search for it, get the results here, and then use that to be able to save the file. Now there's a ton of keyboard shortcuts that come along with this as well. Now the keyboard shortcuts are the same ones that are in the Finder. So in the Finder I just switched by clicking on the desktop. I open up a Finder window and you can see under Go there's all of these different Go commands. Like for instance Shift Command D goes to the desktop. Going to your home folder is Shift Command H. And if I switch back to the file dialog here, if I do Shift Command D you can see it jumps to the desktop. Shift Command H jumps to my home folder. I even have the back and forward buttons here so I can use those like in the Finder as well. Now you also have keyboard shortcuts for the buttons here at the bottom. Of course just hitting return will save it. You can also do Command S will save. So if you like the idea of doing Command S and then Command S again, that will work. Cancel you can do with Command period, which is the universal shortcut for using a cancel button in a dialog. You can also choose Command R to jump to a folder. So I can select this folder here, do Command R, and it brings up the folder in the Finder. So in case I want to look in to see what else is in that folder, I can do that really quickly like that. You also have Command Shift G, which brings up go to the folder and you can type a path name or view recently typed ones. And you have the ability as well to do keyboard commands for editing text. So if you're in here working on the text, for instance, I can use the forward arrows, backward arrows, Command A to select all for instance. And you could use anything you usually use to edit text while editing the file name. I could also drag and drop from Finder windows into the Save dialog. So for instance, here I've got a Finder window open and I can say, well, I want to save this into the personal folder, but instead of navigating to it I can just drag and drop the folder into anywhere in this middle area, and by doing so it changes the location to the location of that folder. I use that all the time as well. And I saved the best for last. This is something I use every day when I make these videos. Say you have a folder here and the folder has a project name, right, that you're working on, and you already have files in here that represent the project. So in this case it's using like a date kind of format and then a name for it. If I click on that, you can see I can't select it because I'm trying to save something, not open something. But if I click on this grayed out file name, it replaces the name that I'm using to save this file. Now, of course you don't want to save over the existing file, but that's not a problem because these are different file types. This is a JPEG image and I'm trying to save a Pages document. So when I clicked on this, it took the name, but instead of .jpeg it did .pages. So now I can save my Pages document with the same name as the image. I'm doing this when I create my videos. I have text files, I've got videos, I've got ScreenFlow documents, and I use the same file name for all of them and put them in the same folder, and I only ever type that name once. After that I'm just clicking on the grayed out text here. Like I click here, another file, project list. You can see it's changing to be whatever that name is and then with the proper extension. So I just use that and I never have to name the file by typing again, and I'm guaranteed to get file names that match identically.